Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. So, today I want to talk about layers. And the reason I want to talk about it we'll get to soon. But did you know, really, each and every one of you has layers. And it's not a bad thing. As you find out, it'll be a good thing. I often tell people that I meet that I am either an onion or a diamond. Now, some people might think, oh, I'm going to say you're a diamond because diamonds are so pretty and whatnot. But truly, onions have so many benefits to them. And why would I compare the two? Well, we all know that onions have all kinds of layers. You can peel and peel and peel away the layers, right? But diamonds, when you turn them around, they have different sides or different facets to them. And you can see different things reflecting in them. And so those sides or different facets are different layers, so to speak, or different sides of my personality, if you want to say. And so I was thinking about this the other day when I was walking through a tree, because layers can be so beneficial. So when I was walking through some trees, I noticed this one. And notice how there are what appears to be two layers of bark. And I thought, well, that's kind of odd. I didn't know any tree had two layers of outer bark. And my husband was with me. He used to be a woodworker, and he was like, what kind of tree is that? He wasn't familiar with it either. And so we went home and we researched it, and it's a white oak. But it's not the only one who only tree that might have this happen. And what this really is, it's not really two layers of bark. It is actually a fungus that attacks the bark and causes this, what they call a smooth patch here. But it so fascinated me that this tree was alive, because this fungus isn't going to hurt the health of the tree, but it was alive, it was healthy otherwise, and it sort of made the necessary adjustments to accommodate the damage that this fungus had done. It, as part of the outer bark was removed, it still maintained and hardened this underlying surface to kind of replicate another bark area. And so I was thinking about that, how layers, especially the outer layer of anything, clothing, your outer layer provides that protective force against rain, the elements, the cold. Your skin has 7 different layers to it. And the outer layer, the most outer layer, is termed the protective layer. And so that's kind of what we do too. We kind of show our outer layer to most people. And that's our protective self, so to speak. In terms of personality layers, it's called the mask self. And there's a reason for that. We become what we need to become for whoever we're talking to, right? In a certain sense, and we become protective of who we are inside. But there is so much more to layers and to our experiences. So our layers can be protective, but they can also be very telling. For instance, look at this bark. This was a tree that I had found. In this whole forested area, there's this one section that had clearly been damaged by some fire at some point in time. And yet this tree was still a living, surviving tree. And look at the damage done to it. But by looking at it, I could clearly see it had had some trauma done to it by fire. Sometimes you can look around and you can see twisted trees clearly have been done by some forceful tornadic winds, and yet they still survive. So the point is that layers provide protection, but the things they protect us from also help us to build resilience. We can't choose what do I want to say? We can't choose the traumatic events that we will experience in life. It's part of human experience. Everyone experiences some kind of trauma, but we cannot pick what those things are going to be. And it doesn't necessarily discriminate. However, we can choose how we react or respond to it. So we can't choose what comes our way necessarily. I mean, the way we live our lives sometimes makes a difference, but things happen. Things just happen. And we can choose how we respond or react to it. Because we are created in a way that helps us to learn from what is thrown in our direction. So are you going to build resilience when things come your way, when you get that fungus like that tree thrown at you, or that fire, or that tornado? I mean, those are very, very traumatic events. So some are smaller, some are larger, but the point is how we react to them is how we are going to respond to them. So if we choose to be resilient, where does it start? It starts in our brain, in our mind, right here. It's all in the perspective. Now, that doesn't mean we have to do it all alone. It doesn't mean that you're a warrior and you're not going to ask for help or need help. Sometimes building resistance, it lies in accepting the help from others. So having resilience and strength does not necessarily mean that you have to do it alone. It's a far cry from that. The point is what your perspective is. Are you looking at it? How are you viewing that traumatic event? Are you viewing it as kind of like a protective layer and helping you to be prepared for the next one that comes along? Because there will be. There will always be other things that will come along. Let's just face it. It's what life throws at us. But however it is sometimes up to us how we end up afterwards. Right? Now go slay the day.